right, well, I got 2 o'clock on my watch, so we'll go ahead and get started here. Welcome everybody again. This is Phil Grigsby with the Weather Service here in Slidell, and this is our weekly weather briefing for Thursday, November 2nd at 2 p.m. All right, so here's the quick situation overview. Really, the biggest thing that we want to talk about, and especially with the ongoing wildfire that we have, especially the one in New Orleans East, that's caused some problems for us, and a few other fires going on, one in Lafitte, and I know there's another one that kind of started up down towards the Schriever area in Terrebonne Parish, is that we do look like, or it does look like we're going to have conditions become more favorable once again for some fog development, especially as we get into Sunday morning and Monday morning. It's at this point, it's still far enough out that we really can't tell you where the fog is going to develop or the intensity of the fog. We can just tell you that at least as far as the conditions go, it looks favorable for fog to form. As we get closer to the event, fog event, we'll be able to provide updates to you guys on exactly where we think the most likely areas for fog to develop will be and what the potential intensity of the fog is, whether it's going to be lighter fog or the more dense fog that's a bigger concern, especially when it does mix with the smoke that's in the air. And the wind field, it is going to be a easterly wind during that time, and so that would push the fog, or the smoke over the city of New Orleans potentially, as well as the Causeway and those areas. So that could be a big concern as we get into Sunday and Monday morning if the fog does develop in those areas. So that's just there's a lot of caveats there, but at least I just wanted to address that and give you guys a heads up. And like I said, as we get closer to Sunday, especially on Saturday, we'll have a lot better idea of where we think the most likely areas are going to be for fog development, and we will inform you guys of that. Otherwise, outside of the fog threat, on Sunday and Monday, there really is no impactful weather expected through next Thursday. We have no storm systems coming through. There's no rainfall expected. So unfortunately, that means that the drought conditions are going to continue across the area. They're unchanged from last week, and we don't expect any change this coming week because of the lack of rainfall. So that's, it's not good news. So obviously, although the winds are not going to be as strong and the relative humidity will be a little higher, there still obviously is going to be the fire risk as well. The burn bans are still in place, and that's a good thing given the really dry antecedent conditions that we have in place. So now we'll move on. We are still in tropical season. There is a little blob down there in the Western Caribbean that the NHC folks are kind of highlighting. It's a low chance of development, and right now it looks like that's something that would just push into the Central American countries there, Honduras, Nicaragua. No impacts to us at all, no concerns. Although we would all like the rain, I think, at this point. And then the drought monitor, as you can see, it's still extreme to exceptional drought across the entire area. There's been absolutely no change to these conditions from last week. The map is exactly the same as it was last week. And, I wouldn't expect any changes in the upcoming week, like I mentioned earlier, because we're just not going to see any rainfall, at least through next Thursday. Drought tendency, this is basically repetitive, but basically saying, the drought's going to persist. There's really not going to be any improvement at all across our region. So again, the summary of impacts, the biggest thing to talk about is this fog threat and, any combination with the smoke that is ongoing across the area. So like I said, we'll keep you guys apprised of that as we get into Sunday and Monday. The good news is by the time we get into Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week, it looks like the wind conditions are going to become a little less favorable for fog to develop. Again, that can change though, but at least early next week, this could be a concern. Otherwise, there's no impactful weather that's expected. And like I mentioned, drought conditions continue. So